But now let's get into some of the juicy speculation about Steven Greer. Okay, because he has been basically an alien apologist for a few years now, claiming, as he has publicly in his movies, that the aliens have never harmed anybody. They've never killed anybody. They've never abducted anybody. They are simply a saintly angelic force for good in the universe. And while they may be a force for good in the universe, or some of them, maybe there's good ones and there's bad ones, as I would suspect. But if you've studied the phenomenon in much detail, you will have come across alien abductions. People have been hurt on them. There have been what genuinely appear to be deaths, cattle mutilation style deaths of humans. Where, if you've seen the pictures, they're pretty horrific. It's hard, they are very similar to the cattle mutilations. There's no blood, eyes cored out. It's pretty bad stuff. There have not been very many of those. Thank goodness. That is not a widespread phenomenon. There's like 10 of them. So that we know of. I mean, there are many, many disappearances. You go into the missing 411 stuff, then that'll creep you out. So, and that seems to be a real thing. Is that them? Is that, what is that? Are people just going native? Is that Bigfoot? What is the missing 411 stuff? I don't know. Anyway, and there are many military deaths attributed to aliens. Now, in the defense of the aliens or the visitors or whatever they are, I almost hate to use the word alien, but some of them probably are. So, in defense of them, with the military deaths, a lot of those deaths were jet pilots that had been ordered to intercept these craft and that were vanished or killed. So, but that was the aliens acting defensively, and I don't really blame them too much for that. It is very tragic, but it is, just the reality of the situation. It's the military getting involved and acting aggressively, and as an American citizen, I want them to defend our airspace against incursions. I want our airspace to be protected and sovereign. So I don't even blame the military for doing that. However, I also don't blame the visitors for defending themselves or for admonishing the military and trying to get them to stop doing that. So so I don't really blame those deaths on the aliens or even the military. They're just a tragic circumstance. But there are deaths associated with the aliens. There are disappearances associated with the aliens. There are millions of abductions associated with the aliens, maybe tens of millions, hundreds of millions. The abduction phenomenon seems to be widespread. It is a fascinating phenomenon, and I will definitely talk more about that later. It has ramifications that are huge, and implications that are also huge. But anyway, it does seem to be a real phenomenon. And for Steven Greer to say that it does not exist is an insult to all those people that have been abducted and killed by the visitors. So there is a dark side to the phenomenon. So why is Steven Greer apologizing for it? What is up with that? Well, we can invent some reasons. If you have looked into the alien abduction phenomenon, you will have come across the phenomenon of the hybrids. That seems to be a thing. There are alien-human hybrids, and they seem to have, many of them seem to have egg-shaped heads with their eyes further apart. Some know they're hybrids, some don't. Who does that resemble? Yes, it resembles Steven Greer. It is entirely possible that Steven Greer is an alien-human hybrid, either knowingly or unknowingly, and he could be pushing their agenda, again, either unknowingly or unknowingly. So, that is just a wild theory of mine. I don't even necessarily believe it, but I do think it is a possibility that must be considered, given his affinity for the phenomenon, his ability to interact with it, to summon UFOs, and his unwillingness to admit any dark side to the phenomenon. That is, for anybody that has researched the phenomenon in as much detail as he would have had to have done, for him to deny the existence of the dark side just beggars belief. It truly does, because there is a dark side, and anybody who's looked into the phenomenon in any detail knows that. That's not to say that the phenomenon is dark or malevolent or hostile, but there is a shady side to it, a kind of a scary side. But, I am not afraid of the phenomenon. I don't want you to be either. But we just need to go into this whole thing with our eyes open. And Steven Greer wants you to go forward with your eyes closed. To me, that's extremely creepy and makes me wonder what the hell is going on. But at the very least, he has no good reason to tarnish the good name of Lou Elizondo. Okay, that's my take on it. This went a little longer than I was expecting. So, what do you think? Do you think I'm just full of beans? Am I crazy madman, or is there something to all of this? At the very least, do you think that Steven Greer is right to smear Lou Elizondo? What do you think about all of this? Oh, and I do want to touch on Lou smearing Steven Greer, as he did in an interview just a couple of days ago. I forget who it was with, but he was talking. He didn't name Steven Greer, but he did talk about thinking ill of cults of personality, about people that led people off into the woods and dropped flares. So basically, calling Steven Greer a liar and a hoaxer. And I do think that's a little far. I don't blame Lou for saying that because of Steven Greer's words toward him and TTSA and the whole disclosure movement. But I do think Steven Greer is legit with his CE5 stuff. So I hate to defend Greer too much, but I do think that he's not faking the CE5 stuff. I could be wrong. I could be totally proven wrong. It could all be flares. But I tend to believe that Steven Greer is legit on that point. But it was funny that Lou called him out on that and is fighting back. Fighting fire with fire. So anyway, that was amusing. Okay, until next time, Mystery Road out. Almost. I'm thinking about a name change. There's a TV show or something called Mystery Road, and I'm thinking about changing the name to something else. I will take your suggestions for a name change in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the Steven Greer situation and the Lou Elizondo situation. Also, let me know what you think the channel's new name should be. Okay, until next time, Mystery Road / other name out. Please subscribe, please like, please share on social media, and talk to you next time.